This story is crazy because we know already, we've seen examples in California of all places, where if you fund the police in Chicago, if you send them back up, or in Portland even, when you just have the state themselves announce, we're sending police out, you see the crowds that don't come out anymore. I guess some moms came out the other night, but predominantly in Portland, the crowds went away when the state said they're sending their own police out. Turns out, if the police just do their jobs, and the state allows them to do their jobs uninhibited, and they are funded appropriately and backed correctly by the population, we don't have problems. Well, Seattle is doing something interesting. The city council there has decided we're just going to abolish the police entirely. This is not hyperbolic. This is coming from someone who's a director of something at PBS. Okay, this is Christopher Rufo. He says the Seattle City Council is moving to abolish the entire Seattle Police Department and replace it with a, quote, civilian-led Department of Community Safety and Violence Prevention, unquote. In the proposed legislation, the council argues that the Seattle Police Department perpetuates racism and violence, that's what it supposedly has in it, and upholds white supremacy culture, which is the Marxist New Age, Newspeak way of saying all things good that come from Western society. The council endorsed the, quote, decriminalize Seattle, unquote, agenda that would replace the police force with culturally relevant expertise rooted in community connections. So basically like ghetto policing, housing, food security, and other basic needs. So universal handouts, trauma-informed, gender-affirming, anti-racist praxis. So all of the ideologies that drive everything that is going to happen in Seattle from a policing perspective will be from the upside down, like in Stranger Things. And finally, the plan demands that the city conduct an immediate transfer of underutilized public land for BIPOCs. So I think it's biracial or interracial person of color community ownership. So any public land that's being underutilized, just like land that is being conserved or land that is set for being zoned to be a park or whatever, public land, that'll be cut up and be given over to the BIPOC community. I wonder if they're related to the Tupac community. In essence, the redistribution of land, which is a hallmark of Marxist regimes. This is what, again, this is from the guy from PBS. This is madness. If Seattle moves forward with its plan to abolish the police and permanently close the region's largest jail, it will lead to the immediate collapse of public order. But for now, the political class is following the mob. And that's really the point, right? If the entire Democratic establishment that runs Seattle and that runs Portland, they're not just kowtowing to the hallmark of Marxist regimes. They're fueling it. They're fanning the flame, using a lot of F words, and not any of the bad ones. Because I want people to be able to share this video so that people will understand how dangerous this could get in any other major leftist city. If Detroit, you want to talk about Chicago could get worse again, and I would put money on Chicago getting worse again. There will be a refractory point where the police stop cracking down because crime drops off because they've been doing a good job. And then people will say, well, hey, it's mid-August again. Let's get back out there and riot. And there will be some reason and there will be some media argument for why people need to get out and protest again. And it'll get worse. But what you'll see happen is what's happening in Seattle. If they can get more cities to agree, being hostages already, they're in lockdown, they don't have jobs, they don't have any money coming from the state because the states are broke, they don't have any money coming from the federal government because Trump already said, I'm not helping. When you damage your statues, when you destroy property, state property or federal property, I'm not going to help you rebuild it. We'll hold on federal land. We will protect and repair any federal land that's damaged. But that's as far as it goes. He did not give any money to any of these mayors or governors who have asked him for money helping to repair and replace all of the things that were damaged during the rioting and looting. He said, nope, you're on your own. You allowed it, you fix it. So this is the proposed legislation to abolish the police department in Seattle. And you can read through this. It's a bunch of jargon, but there are some things where you'd like to see that protest, this is a part of this, right? Line 20. Protests forced many nationwide in Seattle to confront racism that has been plaguing the black community for centuries and spread to other communities of color. Spread. So the racism, first it was just on black people, but now, in recent years, they said, they have spread it. So now racism is coming only from one particular white race, because we're in power, they say, right? And then the BIPOCs, that's apparently what this is supposed to mean. They're all the recipients of racism. It's all latent, so you can't prove it or point it out or show it. They just have to say, well, these protests have the protests have forced people nationwide and in Seattle to confront the racism that you are saying exists in all these ways. And then we say, therefore, right, this impacts the harmful impacts of white supremacy and the Seattle Police Department's role in perpetuating racism and violence. So the Democrat-run cities, and really the states, but in particular the Portland and Seattle areas, hardcore leftists, to the point where, I mean, they're proving it for you, they're going to actually defund and completely abolish the police. I was searching for the word. They want to abolish the police. That's how far left these folks are. And I'm using their language of saying folks because, again, I don't want to use any other F words to describe these people. I want this video to be able to be shared so that you understand and your friends can understand. This is going to be other cities. Other major cities will have this happen. As soon as Seattle can say, hey, look, we just abolished our police department. Look at all the people riding around in cop cars now that we took over. Look, all the police, they don't have badges anymore. We got people with bandanas on, and we have nunchuck people, and anyone can sign up and we'll be the community action force. So long as you will be trauma informed, you'll have anti-racist praxis, you'll be gender affirming, these things down here. So those are the kinds of things you want. You have to be rooted in community connections. Who do you know here? You can't be a cop in Seattle anymore. You will be a community actor, and who do you know here? Because you can't do it unless you grew up with all these folks. That way, you know who you can trust and who you can't, and who you can maybe set up for something, and maybe the corruption over here is okay because they're your buddies, and this is how the leftists want to run things. They don't want it to be by the book, blind justice, as it should have been. Astonishing. Let me know what you think of the video. Like this video, share this video, comment on this video, subscribe to this channel. Please, go on, keep America afloat.